So, what is the one thing that every narcissist or toxic person in the world needs? What is the one common denominator for every single narcissistic person? What do all narcissists need? That's what we're talking about today, y'all. If you're new here, my name is Lee Hammock. I'm a diagnosed narcissist here to give you the perspective of a narcissist. And welcome to another episode of the Narcissist Code. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. So yes, what is the one thing that every single narcissist or toxic person or whatever needs? What is that? What is the one common theme that narcissistic people need in order to survive, in order to thrive, or whatever the case may be? What is it? So if you're curious about it, that one thing is narcissistic supply. Every single narcissist, every single narcissistic person or whoever needs narcissistic supply. That's just the truth. Some type of supply. Well, Lee, I'm new here, Lee. What do you mean by narcissistic supply? What is that? What is this supply that you speak of? Can you help me out here? I'm glad you asked. To me, as a diagnosed narcissist, right? Narcissistic supply, to me, is some form of external validation. It really is. Some form of validation. Some form of validation that narcissistic people get externally that we ourselves cannot give us. We cannot give ourselves supply. Most of us cannot, right? And I feel like I had to say most because as a diagnosed narcissist in therapy, I've been able to validate myself more and more and more over the last few years, right? I have found the ability to self-validate in situations, whereas I would have needed someone else to validate my experience. I would have needed somebody else to validate my own emotional state. I would have needed somebody else to validate how I was feeling or what I was thinking or whatever, just to validate my existence. And I'm not saying that to just try to make it seem like, oh, I'm different. I'm the special narcissist. I'm the special one. No one else is like me. No one else is like little old me, little old narcissist. Nobody else is like me. I'm not saying that, right? I know people would make jokes and I know I make a lot of jokes and I say a lot of funny stuff, but this is how it goes. It really is. Most narcissistic people in these situations, in these scenarios, are going to need supply from outside sources. That's just real. This is why you see a lot of times that narcissistic people cannot be by themselves. We cannot stand to be alone. We cannot stand to be alone. We cannot stand to be like single or without a person in our lives that we can call or text or whatever the case may be. We cannot do that. And this is also why narcissists tend to monkey branch from relationship to relationship. When I say relationship to relationship, I'm not just meaning the intimate relationships like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. I mean every type of relationship with a narcissist, right? Every singular type of relationship with a narcissistic person. Like they're going to bounce from relationship to relationship. They're going to monkey branch. They're going to make sure they have some secured supply or the possibility of secured supply before they leave a relationship because they need some type of external validation. I can't regulate my own emotions. I can't regulate myself. So I need somebody else to do it. I need you to do it. I need her to do it. I need him to do it. I need them to do it. Whoever it is in this situation right here, right? And this is where it goes. And this is where it comes. And this is how it ends up going. This is how it ends up looking just overall. Narcissists need supply. That's just the name of the game. It really is. And I wish it wasn't so, because when they're taking it's kind of like a natural resource, like your car needs gas. Like your car needs gas, narcissists need supply. But guess what happens? It runs out. You see what I'm saying? It runs out. And if it's not replenished, then it's not, if supply is not replenished, then it's going to run out and we need to find other supply. Just like at the gas station. If those big ass gas trucks don't come in the morning to drop off gallons and gallons of gas, then guess what happens at the gas station? No matter if we can go to that pump, nothing's going to come out of it. We're not going to get that gas for our car. We're not going to get that supply if you are not refilled. You see what I'm saying? If you are drained, if we are draining you dry, then you are not finding a way to refill yourself, or we're not refilling you, then guess what? You run out. Or you don't give us as much as you don't give us as much as you used to. And then when you don't give us as much as you used to, guess what happens? We move on to someone who we think can. We move on to someone who we think fits us better. That's what ends up happening. Like, that's the space that so many people fall into when you're dealing with narcissistic people. This is how it goes. Like, they move on because they think the supply that they get from you has run its course. And I hate to say that. And people just, when I say that to people are like, well, damn, Lee, that sucks. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It really does suck. And it sucks to be on the receiving end of it as well. It sucks to deal with a narcissistic person that you're just trying to love and care for. It really does suck. And that's why I tell so many people in these situations, in these scenarios, that, hey, look, the more you deal with a narcissistic person, the more that you combat this person, the more that you try to make sense of how everything is going, that it's just going to drain you more. The more drained that you will become, right? Because I know so many people ask me the question like, well, Lee, if they're getting supply from, if I'm grade A supply, which a lot of people use the word, right? If I'm grade A supply, then how can they move on so effortlessly? How can they just leave me? Like, how can they leave me so effortlessly? Like, they didn't put any effort in, they didn't try. If I was grade A supply, how can they just get rid of me? Because y'all, grade A supply still runs out. Grade A supply is a natural, let's say grade A, I know I'm using the earth and gas and stuff like that, but let's just say the grade A supply is a natural resource, right? It really is. It's a natural resource. But natural resources cannot be replenished, right? The natural gas we get from the earth, it cannot be replenished. The oil that we get from the earth is not making more oil, or is it, right? So we get that, where we get that from, it's not replenishing. It really isn't. So this is something you have to consider and think about as well as you're moving forward. Like, it's not you. So many people I feel like a rant coming on. I know I told you I was going to do my rant series. Yeah, so many people get caught up in trying to figure out what you could be doing more for a narcissist, right? You want to figure out what you could be doing more of. You're like, well, Lee, how can I give them more supply? I don't want them to leave me. I don't want to be single. I don't want to be lonely. How can I give them more supply? How can I make them feel better? How can I do this? How can I do that? I tell people, like, you can't. Like, y'all, you will drain yourself. And narcissists know, like, and the crazy thing about this, there's a lot of narcissists that know when you're trying hard. There's a lot of narcissists and toxic people that absolutely know that you're trying hard and that you're giving your all to this relationship. And it means nothing to them. It doesn't make them love you more. It doesn't make them care for you more. Sometimes it makes them want to leave you more, because some of them look at you like you're trying too hard. They look at you like you're pathetic. I'm not calling you pathetic. I'm not saying that. But this is how some narcissists will look at you. They'll be like, damn, you really, especially if you're too forgiving, right? If you're too forgiving, if you're too welcoming, if you're giving them too much, yeah, they will look down on you. I'm telling you. And people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't make sense to you. But the more you forgive a narcissist, the more they look down on you. Just think about it like this. Sometimes narcissistic people cheat on you for the thrill of it, right? They like getting away with the cheating. They like getting away. They like to hide it. They like of course they like the active cheating, but they like keeping it from you more. So if you find out, or they tell you, or whatever happens, they get exposed for cheating, and you forgive them. Okay, maybe one time, so I can still sneak and do it. And then guess what happens again? They do. You catch them again. You catch them again. You keep forgiving them. You keep forgiving them. Now the thrill is gone. Now it's boring. You know what I'm saying? Now it's not even cheating anymore. Now it gets to the point where I don't even have to try hard to lie to you anymore, because like, it's just, you don't care either, right? There's so many different avenues. There's so many different things that go into this. That's why I try to tell so many people, like, when you're dealing with this person, the more forgiving you are, sometimes they look down on you. And I know that sounds ass backwards. I'm fully aware of how that sounds, right? I'm fully aware of how silly that sounds, how ignorant that can sound to a lot of people, right? I'm fully aware. But this is where you have to understand, where you have to come into your own mind and just say, well, damn, Lee, I have to stop being I have to stop being reconciled with the person. I know some people are huge on forgiveness. I know some people are big on forgiveness. Well, we got to forgive. The Bible says forgive or whatnot. You don't have to reconcile with them. Where in the Bible does it say you have to reconcile with everybody you forgive? Like you have to, this person tried to take your life. This person cheated on you. This person gave you an STI, and you should reconcile with them. You need to keep the family together. Hey, I could be wrong though, but that's what happens, y'all. Every single narcissist needs supply. Well, Lee, what about you? You've been in therapy well, Lee, how can we get them to be self-sufficient so they won't need supply? They have to go to therapy and deal with this thing, to deal with the mental blockages, y'all. They have to be willing to go to therapy to work on that type of stuff. And well, Lee, mine told me that he would never go to therapy. He doesn't believe in it. Man, my girl said she would never go talk to no therapist because that's not what women do. Yeah, then this is who you're gonna have to deal with. I know that sounds morbid or grim, but this, if they're not willing to work on themselves, then this is who you're going to have to deal with. Why would anything change? Nothing changes if nothing changes. I know that sounds super simplistic, but that's the crux of it right there. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Nothing will get better until it does, right? You have to be willing to put the work in. You have to be willing to do this. You have to be willing to do what you need to do in these situations. Because narcissistic people, I promise you this one thing about narcissists as well. They're going to typically choose to do what benefits them the most. And a lot of times what they see is benefiting them the most is going to find new supply that feels better, right? But guess what happens? Just because they find a new supply doesn't mean that they will release the old supply. It doesn't mean that they will let you go. Just because they have a new partner or a new husband, new wife or whatever, it does not mean that they will leave you alone. And so many people fall into the trap of allowing this to happen. Let's be real. So many people do fall into the trap of allowing this type of stuff to happen. Y'all will be done. They'll break up with you. They'll find somebody else, and you'll still be sleeping with them on the side now. I know it's tough to break, but you're making yourself feel and look kind of. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I know that trauma bond is tough to break, but it has to be broken. If you don't break it, it's going to break you. That was kind of fire, wasn't it? If you don't break the trauma bond, then the trauma bond is going to break you. Oof. Oof. You got to break it. You got to break it, y'all. You have to break it. You have to break it. That was fire. That was fire. Anyways, y'all, I got to get up and get out of here this morning. Be safe. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out my website for my one-on-one coaching, my support group. Everything is available at mentalhealness.net. That's mentalhealness.net. Come check it out, y'all. And I will see you later. Mental Healness is out. Peace. What up, y'all? What up? Before you leave, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. It just helps us reach more people. Also, everything I have is available at mentalhealness.net. My coaching, my courses. I have a couple of courses that can help you understand and help you heal. And I also have a support group, all available at mentalhealness.net. Check my site out for everything, y'all, and I will see y'all later.